What's up, webheads? Guys, today me and my son Braden are going to be talking about the newest Spider-Man movie. We have our thoughts on the movie, our theories on the movie, who we liked, who we didn't like. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned, guys. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, I am your host, Mike Spider Slayer. And guys, I'm here usually to help you make decisions on what comic books to buy. But today, Braden and I are together and we're going to discuss what?
The new Spider-Man No Way Home movie.
That's right, No Way Home. We had tickets for the 10:15 p.m. showing on Friday. We did not get home to almost 2 o'clock in the morning, but my gosh, it was definitely worth it. And letting you guys know now, there are going to be spoilers in this this video. So if you have not watched the movie, I definitely suggest, come back at a later time. But we're just going to discuss like who our favorite characters were, what our theories are going to be like, and things like that. So let's get into it. Let's kick off the first thing. First thing is did you like the movie?
Yes, it was very good.
Just before we talk about anything, what was your rating out of it, out of like a 1 to 10?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. So this movie had everything. It had action. It had, its little love story in there. It had heartbreak. This was just like the end game for Spider-Man, right? But we are going to get more Spider-Man. But it felt that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just a really, really good movie. And yes, we did get, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the movies. And even though we kind of knew it and it was never confirmed in the trailer, we all suspected it. But the cool thing about it was it's just when you're in that movie, in that moment in time, and they make that appearance, you're just like, wow. They actually did it, right? It was just like, it was so cool. And what did everyone do in the theater?
Everyone was cheering.
Everyone was freaking out. This is the best. Yeah, it was cool. I ain't gonna lie. And when they opened up that gate for the first time and you saw Spider-Man, did you think it was Andrew Garfield?
Yeah, I knew it.
Did you?
As he did it.
Did you? I wasn't sure if it was him or not. But nevertheless, it was so cool, man. I just was like, wow, it made it real when you actually saw it. So the movie was outstanding. Was there anything, though, let me just tell you before we get into the characters, was there anything that you didn't like about the movie?
Not that I can think of. Not really.
No? Yeah? Yeah, I mean, I thought, I could say this. I thought maybe a little bit of the acting was a little bit bad. And we'll discuss that when we get into these villains, okay? So, and that's just me nitpicking it. But the movie was great. So let's talk about first the villains, okay? So who did we have? We had Dr. Octopus. We had Sandman. We had who else?
Electro, Lizard, and Green Goblin.
That's right. So you had those guys. And of course you got a little bit of Venom at the end credit scene. I mean, that's a whole other thing that we'll talk about later. So, Dr. Octopus, crowd favorite, obviously, because a lot of people's favorite Spider-Man movie was Spider-Man 2. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And they love the villain, and he makes his role, he comes back, and I don't think his role was as strong as his original performance as the second movie. Now, I don't know if you remember the second movie.
I do not.
Yeah, you were really young when that came out, and I don't think you saw that one, or maybe
did.
You did?
I saw it when I was like 5.
Yeah, okay. So I liked him in the movie, but it was just like, I felt like almost he was trying to act almost too hard. Yeah. Like one moment he would be good, and then the other moment he'd be like, oh, you Spider-Man guy, I'm going to the place. And he got all his mouth all messed up and stuff. So I thought he was like trying to overact just a little bit. And when they made him good, like I thought it was a little bit, it was better. Like when they put that chip in him, I felt like, okay, this is like more like Otto Octavius, right? So I thought that he was pretty good. So let's talk about the Sandman. So the Sandman was nothing more than a CGI.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even go to his human form at all throughout the whole entire movie,
Until the very, very end.
Yeah, but wasn't he CGI too?
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't think they got an actor for that.
Right. And in the original movie, they had the actor. Now, I think maybe they got the voice acting. I don't know. Maybe they got him to do the voice for him, because it did sound like him. So I don't know. I didn't look at the credits well enough. I don't think he played really a huge significant role in the movie. I feel like he was one of the more weaker villains. What do you think?
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
He was kind of funny when he was sitting in the apartment. He was on the couch and he was making it dirty.
Yeah.
That was about it, right? So there was that. Then you have Electro. So what did you think about Electro?
Electro was cool because he was like the main villain with Green Goblin.
Right. I liked it, and it kind of made him more of the Electro that I know, that I grew up to. Not the shit-ass Electro we got in Spider-Man 2, or Amazing Spider-Man 2. That guy was horrible. So you got more of that particular character in here. The one thing, though, that I didn't like, I just, same thing, Jamie Foxx. Like, I don't look at him as, like, this big-time actor. So I felt like some of his lines were a little bit cheesy, but when he was a villain and he was fighting and stuff, he was cool.
Yeah.
Right? So I like that. He just seemed like, this is some power. I really like the power. And his eyes would light up. So, I mean, it's like, but it's fine.
We should get a count of how many times Electro said power in that movie. That's all he cared about. Literally the second he showed up. There's a lot of power here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then we got the Lizard, who was another CGI character. And you didn't get to see his human form to the very end until he was cured. And he was kind of like the little, like, he would push the buttons on people. He's like, oh, I know this would happen, you know. But he was kind of funny. I liked him.
Yeah.
You know, he was all right. He was just kind of there. But the guy that stole the show, the villain that stole the show was who?
Green Goblin.
Yes. Why?
Because he's psychotic and he's the main villain.
Yeah. I mean, I think when the audience was watching the movie and they actually saw William Dafoe go on the screen again to portray that character, it was so good. And I loved how they ditched the armor or his mask, because the Green Goblin, I felt, was more represented without that mask. Like, it really showed how crazy Norman Osborn was in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, he got all contortioned with his face, and he's like, Peter, you're too weak to destroy me. It was crazy, dude. But I loved him. And without him being in that movie, I don't think that movie would be quite the same.
It would not.
Yeah, because he was the guy, the antagonist, that really drove everything. It drove Peter to the brink of possibly being evil or turning to the dark side. It was like the Green Goblin was like Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Right? He was just manipulating him. And you even get that scene where they're like fighting on the shield, the new Statue of Liberty shield, and you even got the tone of the music that way.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool fight scene. So we talked about it before the show about what was it that you said that Peter almost killed Green Goblin with the glider, just like the original Spider-Man.
Yeah, just like in the original, he was almost died the same way.
Then it was very fitting that the original Spider-Man stopped him from doing it, right?
Yeah.
So that was cool. All right, so we talked about those. So who was your favorite Spider-Man? I mean, obviously we got Holland, but did you like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield in this?
I liked Andrew Garfield more because he was funnier.
Okay.
He was very funny.
That's cool. I mean, I thought it was just cool just seeing the different generations of Spider-Man. Now, obviously, I've seen all of them from 2000 to, I don't know, 2010 or whatever, and now we got this. But it was cool to see them all interact with each other, and I love how they played off of each other and how they actually made fun of their own movies.
Yeah.
So that's like Andrew Garfield about the rhinoceros. He's like, yeah, I you guys are so cool. Like, all I did was like beat a Russian guy in a rhinoceros suit. Like, that is awesome. Like, I love that, So it's super cool. Okay, so let's talk about some other things in here. So due to the spell at the end of the movie, the only way to stop all the multiverse from coming in from everywhere, Peter Parker says, I want everyone to forget who I am. So that means everybody, nobody, period, right? So it took the spell to the whole other level. Mm-hmm. So people know who Spider-Man is, but they don't know who Spider-Man actually is, right? And actually, it's like Peter Parker doesn't even exist. So Peter Parker has nobody. Aunt May died, right? So MJ, no, not there. Ned, not there. All his friends, not there. His teacher's not there. He's literally living on his own, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into that portion, let's talk about my theories or our theories on these characters. Because after this spell, right, basically Spider-Man has a clean slate, a brand new day, if we shall say that, right? And you get to see him sew a new costume, right? Yeah. He's in a broken down apartment and he doesn't have anything. It's like the Peter Parker that you've known from the comics right from the very start. So everything that you know of from Spider-Man in the past movies, it's now all gone. Yeah. Everything that you know that he teamed up with the Avengers, it's all gone.
It's not an Avenger anymore.
Exactly. He's nothing left. So he's in a original costume, red and blue, right? And it looked good, right? Did you like it?
It was shiny.
Yeah, it was shiny, so it reminded you of a classic Spider-Man. So this is, paying fan service to a lot of nostalgic Spider-Man fans, right? So let's talk about some of the other things or characters going forward in this movies, maybe possibly going forward, and how I think maybe these characters are not even going to show up here anymore, okay? Because, again, this trilogy's over and we're going to get a new one. So let's start with Miles Morales. So a lot of people were specking on what?
Him showing up.
Very simple, right? Him showing up, comic going up in price. People are like, oh, if Miles shows up, he was in the Across the Spider-Verse or whatever it's called, the trailer. So there's a lot of people saying, if Miles shows up, if the Fantastic Four show up, if the mutants show up on the Statue of Liberty. There are a lot of comic book community YouTubers saying that out there. None of that shit happened. But what did we get when it comes to Miles Morales?
At the very end, after Electro was cured, and he was talking to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, he did bring up the fact that he wished that there was a black Spider-Man, which is foreshadowing that could possibly happen eventually. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that means that I think it's right around the corner. Yeah. It's definitely there. So we got that there. We got Miles Morales. All right. So let's go on to the next character here. So we have Happy Hogan, right? That's it, dude. Happy Hogan is done. He is done. First off, the character is so old. He's so much older at this point, and he's just like a laughable character at this time. He's like a joke of a character, right, at this point in the universe. And so now that he doesn't remember who Peter Parker actually is, his involvement with the Avengers and Iron Man, this is the last time we're going to see the character. Do you agree? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think his contract in the MCU is finished. I would be surprised if we saw him again.
Unless something happens with Tony Stark's daughter, then he might show up again, but
Right.
probably not.
Okay, cool. All right, next we got the big confirmation, and even though he didn't play an integral part of this movie, we got Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Right? And so he was his lawyer, and obviously he's going to forget who Peter Parker is. Mm-hmm. He will know who Spider-Man is, but he doesn't know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. This is basically like Mephisto erasing Spider-Man's memories, except Doctor Strange does it. Yeah. That's basically what this is. And so, but the biggest thing that we get out of this is Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is confirmed in the MCU.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. Now, I know you didn't watch the Netflix show.
I did not.
Right, but I think you should. You would like it. So, but that was the main thing there. Well, the next person we talk about is Aunt May.
She's dead.
Dead. Is she coming back?
No.
She's done. That's all we have to say about that. Marissa Tomei, great actress as Aunt May. Loved seeing a young version of Aunt May, but now that she's officially dead, Peter has nobody left in his life. And like I said, he's on his own. So she's done too. All right. J. Jonah Jameson. Even though he doesn't realize Peter Parker and Spider-Man are the same person anymore, he still has that hatred for Spider-Man. He will always have that hatred because that's just who he is. He's a complete asshole, and he wants nothing better to see Spider-Man go under, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we might see a Spider Slayer in the future. I don't know. Maybe we might see that. But he always played an integral role in Spider-Man's life, so we're going to continue to see him in future movies. Ned Leeds. Spider-Man's best friend. People were speculating that possibly that Ned Leeds will be the Hobgoblin in this movie. That did not happen. However, Ned Leeds is no longer Peter Parker's best friend because he doesn't know who the heck he is, right? Yeah. So in the comics, Ned Leeds is the Hobgoblin, which means that maybe Ned Leeds might come back, but he might be the Hobgoblin in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a possibility there, especially now that Green Goblin is off in his own universe. Again, we could get the next best thing, which is Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be kind of cool. But no one truly replaces Green Goblin.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I got the big character here. So now we have MJ. Now, Zendaya plays MJ, and she's not the Mary Jane Watson that we all know. We've seen this, obviously. We all know this since the very first movie. She's a completely different character. She's not the redhead that we know. She's not even named Mary Jane in this movie, obviously, or in the previous movies. Her name is Michelle Jones, not Mary Jane Watson. So, being that Peter at the end of this movie goes to confront her and says, and it was going to be like, hey, I'm your man, you know, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Peter Parker, we were together. He doesn't go through with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when he saw that injury on her forehead at the end, right, he was just like, I can't risk her getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the end of Michelle Jones or Zendaya in the Spider-Man movies. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. Because they never would have ended the movie there. He would have said something to her, but
right.
He didn't.
Right.
So probably not.
Right. So, which means in the future, they're actually going to bring in a new MJ, and it's going to be Mary Jane Watson. Mm-hmm. That is my prediction. It might be a weird little coincidental thing that you have two girlfriends as MJ, mm-hmm. and it might spark past memories, but I think we could see that. Okay. So let's see. Let's talk about Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, even though Doctor Strange won't remember who Peter... Let's see, what did I put here? Peter he is the sorcerer, and probably down the road he's going to remember who he is, but who cares about that right now? He's got a kick-ass movie about to come out. So Doctor Strange doesn't remember who Peter is.
No.
Doesn't remember, because even him, right? But like I said, he's a sorcerer. He can always somehow remember who he is. He's a sorcerer, right? But like I said, we got the new movie coming out. That teaser was pretty kick-ass, right? Were you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a trailer. That's basically what it is. It honestly was. So I was like, yes, that is great. So we got to learn a lot more about what that movie is about. But we're not talking about that trailer. We're talking about this movie. Next, we're going to dive into Venom. So we saw the end credit scene, right, with Eddie Brock in there. He was currently in this universe. Obviously, he got shipped back out of this universe, but he left a little bit of the piece of the symbiote.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you like to see out of that little piece of symbiote going forward? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to lead into symbiote Spider-Man showing up, and then a Venom for this universe that hasn't shown up yet, which could then lead into a different Carnage or Scream or anyone like that, and possibly eventually Agent Venom.
Yeah, they just need a different Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
That guy's a dweeb. I can't stand that guy. So that was kind of like your prediction there. Mine was, obviously, we could go back to where Peter comes across the piece of symbiote. It attaches to him. We go down that story, just like in Amazing Spider-Man issue 258, where he struggles between the suit and himself, and a much more serious tone than that Tobey Maguire version, right? And where we could see the first time our Fantastic Four make their appearance is in the next Spider-Man movie, where he's like, Reed, I need to take this suit off of me, and you need to study it and find out what this is. That's where the Fantastic Four could make their cameo in the MCU. I could be way off with that, but that's not an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
Right? So stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens with that. So let's talk about Peter Parker himself. Being that nobody knows who he is, this is like a fresh start for the character. He has no friends, no relative, and he's just basically back to basics at this point. And he's got that classic costume. Like I said, he sewed it himself.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's basically a brand new day. So when it comes to the franchise, the sky's the limit. You can literally do anything you want now.
Yeah.
Right? Is there anything that you would want to say to actually, what would you want to see from the character going forward?
Well, right now I can only see him going through the whole symbiote storyline, and then eventually meeting Daredevil and the X-Men would be at probably the end of the second trilogy is a possibility.
That would be really cool if he did a team up with Daredevil.
Yeah.
That would be pretty badass. I would love to see the symbiote storyline done right, so we actually get the true symbiotic relationship between the two characters, and then the hatred of the symbiote and Peter, and then this version of Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Now I think what's his name? Tom Hardy plays Venom, and I think he's done a good job, but I think we might be able to find somebody better.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I am very much looking forward to the future. It could be anything, like we said, but you could do a Hobgoblin story. You can do a Venom story. We can throw the Fantastic Four in there. It's pretty cool. The one thing that we were talking about before, now that Daredevil is in this, is now that there's the Daredevil confirmation, and we did not watch the latest episode of Hawkeye, but now that Daredevil's in the MCU, what does this confirm for you?
Kingpin is pretty much confirmed at this point.
Oh, yeah, it has to be. And it has to be the original actor. Now, he might have shown up in this latest episode of Hawkeye. We have not seen it yet. But, dude, we're totally excited about that. Hawkeye, best series so far on Disney+.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the end of the day, we both give this movie a 10 out of 10. The future is looking bright for Spider-Man movies. The sky's the limit. Very curious what they'll do with the character. But if you have not seen this movie and you did watch this video, well, we just spoiled everything for you. So we had a little accident with our camera because we were so excited it just fell over. But yeah, we just spoiled everything for you. But man, let us know in the comments below, what do you want to see from Spider-Man going forward? Do you want to see the symbiote storyline? Do you want to see Mary Jane Watson come back? Do you want the Hobgoblin to make his appearance? Is there a villain do you want in these future movies? And yeah, that's all we got for you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this little video today with me and my son Braden. And I can't wait for the next one, man. What do you think about you? What do you think?
Very excited.
Very excited. God, we're going to have to wait forever, though. It's going to be so long.
Well, because they already have, like, movies confirmed for the next 3 years, so...
Yeah, right? 2030, Spider-Man 4. I'll be dead. All right, guys, that's all we got for you today. As always, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications from me. And of course, guys, if you love content, I'll leave you more content somewhere on this video where it's not blocking our face. And as always, guys, keep buying, keep collecting, and most importantly, keep reading your comics. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.